Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here, and welcome to another video. Ever since I built the original filter for New Look Tundra Gravel filters, I've tried a few different things. Mostly different variations on media. I've tested a bunch of those out, and a little bit of trying different positions of lift stacks and configurations for the base plate and stuff like that. But one of the things I haven't done yet is a deep bed version. Now, when I originally thought of doing this, I wanted to go from bottom of the tank to as close to the surface as I can get and still have the lift stacks function properly. But unfortunately, currently I do not have any top row tank space. They're all running projects that I just don't feel it's time to shut them down yet. So it has to wait until I move the old rack. Now, I know I've said I've been going to move that for quite some time now, but there is an actual real reason beyond, just inertia to not do it. When all this COVID stuff started, I ended up putting a bunch of tanks into idle, which meant I took a bunch of fish out for my clients, and they're all here at the moment. So if I shut down those 16 tanks and consolidate them into what I have left, there just isn't enough space. The fish will be massively overcrowded, and also the fish that came from place A will get mixed up with fish from place B. I mean, I don't think most people would care much, but currently I know where everything is and where they all go, and it's just best to wait until hopefully everything settles down and then get them all back where they belong, and then I'll have lots of tank space and we can do the deep version. But this is not actually a bad thing. Once this is all running and everything is working properly, we'll have the standard version, which is about 2 inches deep. This one, which is going to be roughly around 4. And then the deep version, which will be at least 8. Actually, most likely around 8. So we'll be doubling each time, which is cool. And that will give us 3 different versions, and we'll see how the results go for all that. So in the long run, I think it's a good idea. Now, the reason that this can only be 4.5 inches, that is the maximum gap there is between the top of the bottom row tank and the brace for the top row tank. So everything that goes in those tanks has to fit in that slot. Now, obviously I could move a tank and put a bigger thing in there, but I really don't want to do that because first off, it's a major pain, and secondly, it's not practical long term if I want to move anything around or change this project up. So it's just best just to make it so it fits. The upside of that is, though, it can be modular, and I know I've built modular things in the past, and like for add-ons for adding extra media or chemical filtration, extra floss, all that sort of stuff. But my current favorite, which is probably obvious to all of you, is the high humidity ones. I really do like those. So this is going to be a modular filter, and it's going to have the base, which is going to be 4.5 inches. There's going to be, in the next video, they're going to show you the top piece that's going to go on that, which is just going to be a bracket to separate the undergravel filter from the tray where the gravel and plants are going to go for the high humidity, and then of course the cap for the high humidity. Now all of this will fit in where it needs to go. So what I'll do is load up each layer outside of the tank, get it all the way I want it to, slide it in, and then assemble it in the tank, and it can come apart just as easily, be moved around. If I decide I want to change something that's in any of the components, it'll be very easy to take them out, and I think that's actually a good way of doing this, especially for those bottom row tanks. Now, the reason why I am using a 1/4 inch piece of acrylic for the bottom plate and going to all this trouble of drilling all these holes and machining everything out, I don't think the egg crate will have the longevity I think it needs to be able to hold this sort of thing up long term. They're great. I mean, I use them all the time for all sorts of different stuff, but they do get a little bit brittle once they've been in the water for a while, whereas acrylic doesn't do that at all. And I don't really ever want to take this apart. This is one of those filters that I'm going to set up And hopefully, if everything works out right, it's just going to run, and I'm not going to have to worry about doing anything with it, at least not this part of it. And the only way to ensure, a part issue is to make sure that it's, the parts are good. So I've drilled the two 1-inch lift stacks, so that way I'll have extra flow, and these are holes that are going to be small enough to obviously not let the gravel through that I've chosen, and actually I'll probably a little bit of lava rock in here as well, and that way, like I said, it'll be well supported, and I won't have to, like I said, to ever take this thing apart. So this is a lot of work to go to, but actually it doesn't really take that long once you have it all set up like this. It takes about, as you saw at the beginning of the video, it takes about 5-10 minutes to get everything firmly bolted into place. But after that, like I said, this is normal speed right now, and you can see it doesn't take long at all. And it's not as bad as when I was drilling all the holes for the rainforest build, which, by the way, there will be an update on. There's not as many holes for sure. So there you go. Those little lines you see there are so I can put in the bottom spacers, which are going to lift it off the bottom. And there's one other change. This is the original one I did, and I didn't like the pattern for the holes. I wanted to get as many holes as possible, and the only way to do that is to stagger them. So that's why I redid the plate. I'll end up doing something with that one later on, but for the moment I'm just going to use this one here. Now, the other thing is with this is the original ones I made, every now and then I'll get into an aquarium and I'll be moving something around, and I'll bang into the lift stack and it'll move a little bit. So I want to prevent that, and that's why I'm going to see, those are the lift stacks, and they are friction fit for starters, and also I'm going to weld them into place. I don't want this thing to move at all. So once it's set up, it's going to be rigid. And if I end up banging into it, which you do when you're trying to catch fish and stuff, it's inevitable. I want it to not be disturbed, because deep bed things are best left completely alone. And this is the easiest way of ensuring that. So I'm going to just weld these on, and then in part 2 I will build the separator and then the tray for where the plants are going to go. And because it's going to be a little bit shallower than the one I built most recently for the high humidity, which has a Java fern, which is growing really well, by the way, it's going to have mostly pearlweed, probably some Java fern, because I'll just pick some smaller pieces, and then Java moss as well. And of course I'll be putting in scuds and shrimp and all that sort of stuff as well too. So that reminds me, Sunday's video, because I've finished with all the comparisons for filters for the DIY projects, in the interim between figuring out what I'm going to do next, or even if I'm going to continue Sunday's videos, because as things get busier I may not have the time, I'm going to do some fish room update stuff that doesn't have enough material to be its own video. So little bits of projects here. You'll get to see more fish tanks, more things in the fish room, and some stuff that's happening in it. So Sunday's going to be that for at least the next week or two, until either I think of another project to put on Sunday, or again I drop Sunday altogether because I've gotten really too busy. So this is getting close to the end. This is actually really solid. You can see how much weight I'm putting on this. Honestly, I probably don't even need to weld it, but I will be, because I don't want any issues with this whatsoever. So this is the base, and those lift stacks are obviously just to the top of the tray, and then there's going to be an extension for that because they need to be there. So I'm going to show you where it's going to go, and the reason why I'm having to build it in this style. This is the gap, and it's going to go in that end tank there, which is not having any projects running currently that I don't mind shutting down. And also I want to breed some plecos in there, so it's going to be a real test to see how well this filter does. I honestly don't think there's going to be any problems with that sort of thing, but it's always best to test things out. So here you go. This is stage 1, all done. If you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe. And the next video, which will probably be Wednesday, we will get all the rest of the trays, get it up and running, and show you what it looks like in a tank. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.